So I watched Ghost in the Shell, and it was good. It was a very good movie, but I have a hard time talking about it because it had so many themes and so many things we can talk about. And it was fulfilling, though. It is a very good and well constructed movie. And I know I was supposed to watch High School of the DxD as well, but there isn't much I can say about that one because it's just shameless fan service. There's nothing more to it. It's just fan service for desperate guys who need a vagina and are too ashamed to watch hentai or porn. So they hide in itchy things that are mainstreamly accepted by other anime fans, like High School of the DxD or High School of the Dead. I watched one episode. I never want to watch it again. High School of the DxD is the reason why Miyazaki said that anime isn't being made by people who like people anymore and not by people for people. It's being made by people who dislike people, because none of the characters is human. You cannot relate to them. This is simply a guy who goes to an high school with magic, and the girls put his face on her breasts, and that's all. And they punish him sometimes. They spank him in the most sexual way ever. It's like a sub-dom relationship. You know, it's like S&M almost. It's not. I know S&M happens in real life and exists, but not in the way that High School of the DxD shows. Though it's not really S&M, but those who have seen the anime and dislike it know what I'm trying to say. Because there's a scene where the girls spank the males because they did something wrong, and the girls enjoy it. The guys are scared, but the girls truly enjoy it. And it creates some magical stuff too, but I don't know, I don't care. And that's another problem of High School of the DxD, is that I don't care about anything that's going on. Nothing at all. On the contrary, about Ghost in the Shell, I care immensely. It's so good. You have no idea. If you never watched Ghost in the Shell, and I mean the 98, I fail with dates, I'm sorry. It's the first Ghost in the Shell movie. If you haven't seen that one, I suggest you to. I never had watched Ghost in the Shell before, so this was my first one. And actually, a friend of mine told me to do a reaction video as I watch High School of the DxD, but I don't think that's worth it, because I would look like this and this, and that's not exactly funny. Ghost in the Shell is the polar opposite of High School of the DxD in terms of sexuality. You see 3 naked female bodies. One of them is of the main character, Major Makoto Kusanagi, and I hope I'm saying her name right. And it's not sexual. It's there to establish the fact that she's not fully human. She's a cyborg. She has human parts, but she's a ghost in the shell. And they're all beautiful. Even Kusanagi, who isn't really feminine, she's female but not feminine, they're all very beautiful, but there isn't an objectification of their body. They're shown naked. 3 of them has in their weakest point, and Kusanagi, when she's naked, usually she's at her strongest, because she uses her nakedness to turn invisible and fool her enemies, and that's great. you know she's naked, but you don't really see it all the time. Though the intro, you see her being assembled as a cyborg, being born even. There is an image that suggests the birth. And honestly, I didn't find it sexual. It's very beautiful, but it's not sexual. And her main theme is sexuality, gender identification, sexual identification, which is very valid in the kind of world we live into. I mean, Kusanagi is female, but she's not feminine. She has breasts, but they have no use. Her problem is that she has no period. She's not fertile because she's a cyborg, which pretty much makes her a male with breasts. And there is this strange sexual tension with one of her teammates who clearly she cares for, and he cares for her immensely to the point of risking his own life to save her and taking him to her safe house at the end and all of that. But there isn't that sexual tension, I think, that humans have. Let me explain something about the universe of Ghost in the Shell. Is that most humanity has been reduced, not really reduced, but reduced to cyborgs who have a ghost in their shells. The shells is their body, and the ghost is a program that, like the ghost of a computer. In informatic, the ghost is an image copy of what you have on your PC in a certain time. For example, if I lose my PC today and I have a ghost of how it was yesterday, I can recover that ghost, and my PC will be like it was yesterday. The ghost from Ghost in the Shell, as I gather, works a little bit in that way. The ghost is an image, a copy of the memories you would have in a human body. The ghost is referred to as a soul even, because a cyborg alone cannot have a soul, and that's a major plot point in the movie, is wherever cyborgs can have souls or not, and what is a human soul, because Kusanagi and her teammates, they have human brain cells in their cyborg brains, and they have human parts, but still she questions herself wherever she's human, and wherever is, if that is her body, if that is who she is, if she might be male in her original body, but she was put in a female body, and now she refers to herself as female because people refer to her as female. And that's a big deal nowadays because of transsexuality, transgenderism, and all those massive things with genders, gender neutral people, asexuality, which isn't really with gender, but it's the lack of sexuality, and it's something we didn't know like 40 years ago. We had no idea what was the sexuality, so it wasn't mainstream. And most importantly, gender fluid people, because there are gender fluid people as well. And Kusanagi asks herself this, and she's extremely scared, I think, that these questions consume her, but still she's a very good example of a strong, independent female. She's really good at it. And while the others are male, well, there's no question that you are a male when you are a male and look like a male. The question of being a woman is more complicated because not only you need breasts, but usually you have a period and you are fertile. A man, when it's not fertile, he's still kind of is a man. A woman when's not fertile is a big issue. It's the kind of issue that can bring you to depression because you're not functional as a woman. And Kusanagi dwells into this kind of issues. And it's very good to see this in a movie, especially in a movie from the 90s. And I was really surprised to see this dealt with in such a way, because it's not in your face. It's actually very well pasted, and it shows you more than what it tells you. The whole story, it's more shown than told. You're only told the necessary. You're not you don't have immense expository things, and the characters only tell you the necessary things. They only tell you the villain is the puppet master, and you know that the puppet master is a hacker, and you don't know anything else, which works great because an invisible threat is always the scariest. You don't know when it's going to attack, and you don't know when it will strike. I just said the same thing twice. I'm sorry. I meant you don't know where he is, you don't know when he strikes, and he doesn't have a face. And something that is faceless is extremely scary for humans. And that's why the movie is so good, because it has so many themes, so many things you can dive into. And the movie doesn't give you an answer. It doesn't give you an answer on most of these issues. Of course, Kusanagi she kind of resolves her issues with gender at the end, but that's my major problem. I don't really like how the movie ends. It's my only problem with it. But I'm perfectly aware that it's the only way the movie could have ended. Taking in consideration the situation Kusanagi was into at the end, it's the only way the movie could have ended. And I know there are more movies, and I want to see them, but I would have liked it better if the movie had ended up differently. But then if it had ended up differently, it wouldn't make any sense. Simply, it wouldn't make any sense at all. So I think it was very well done, very well paced, and the music, it is beautifully fitting to the mood and the way the story presents itself. I like all the symbolism and the foreshadowing that you see. One of my favorite scenes is when Kusanagi goes on a ferry boat and she looks to see herself sitting in a restaurant with this beautiful red dress. That's foreshadowing, and it's beautifully done because you know it means something, but you don't know what. And when the ending comes, you know what it means, and you know why it was there. It was there to let you know that something was going to happen regarding Kusanagi, and it's also a clue to her gender problems. And I just kind of explained the scene without really explaining it. Oh god. I hate doing reviews because I usually spoil everything, and I'm doing my hardest not to go out there and tell you the ending. I don't want to ruin the movie for you, because Ghost in the Shell, like Silent Hill and Shadow of the Colossus, is a very, very personal experience. It's something that you have to see for yourself. It's something that you must understand yourself. It's not something to be taken lightly. So, yes, this is my opinion of it, but you might have another opinion, and you might see the movie in a different way. I like the movie especially for how it dealt with gender and sexuality. And another thing, the voice acting for the 90s, and I saw it in English, it's really good. And let's take in consideration that it is the 90s, and voice acting, especially in anime, it wasn't that good. And we are not talking about Orson Welles voicing, I don't know what, Transformers, but he did it. We're talking about anime, which wasn't very good in the 80s and 90s, but It was good. It was awesome. And I really like it. I recommend it. Do I recommend High School of the DxD? No. But that's me. You can think whatever you want about High School of the DxD and Ghost in the Shell, because I was probably talking bullshit the whole time.